Hello everybody, I'm Nora Burrows. I've been working on the Quilt of Valor and I think it's coming along kind of nicely, slowly but surely. And we're gonna do this quilt block together. I made this one as well as this one. This is the same one except different fabrics, and this one has a little border. I think what I'm going to do is make a bunch of these in the same fabric. We'll make one now. The other thing that I've been working on is these little squares and square, and I think lined up these will be really kind of cool. I'm thinking of like a strip towards the top and then a strip towards the bottom to give it a little bit of length, but we'll see. I don't know how these things are going to end up. So for this block here, I saw a picture of this block and I kind of had to work it out on my own, and I thought it would be really simple because it's all squares and rectangles, and the block is super simple. However, I did not take into account seam allowance when I did it the first time. This is the first one I made, and so I had to fudge a bunch of stuff, and then I made it again and I only had to fudge a little bit. So I think I've got it down now. I saw that block in Quiltfolk magazine. Quiltfolk magazine, I'm obsessed with it. I love it. It comes 4 times a year. I look forward to it coming. I slowly order the back issues and I get so excited when the back issues come. And so this one was issue 10. This was one of the back orders I issued. This was Vermont. So each Quiltfolk magazine focuses on a different state or a different part of the country. This one is Vermont. And here is the block that I saw. And this was given to, this is from a quilt that was given to Calvin Coolidge's grandmother. Calvin Coolidge actually made a quilt when he was quite young. How old was he? He was 10 years old and he made this quilt here. And he was the only known president to have ever made a quilt. So I saw the quilt that was given to his grandmother, this block, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think it will go really nicely in our patriotic Quilt of Valor. Let's make this block. For this block, you will need 4 dark colored strips that are 2 inches by 5 inches, 1 light colored strip that is 2 inches by 5 inches, 18 2-inch squares, and 8 dark colored 2-inch squares. Let's lay out our block. Here's our block all laid out. This is the size it will end up when it's finished. I'm actually going to orient it to be square, but here we have it oriented to be diamond-like, which is fine. We're gonna focus on the center and then radiate out. So the first thing that we're gonna do is sew right sides together. So here's this 5-inch long strip right here. We're going to sew right sides together, these pieces, 1/4 inch. Same for the top and the bottom, 1/4 inch. And for the other side. So there, and so right here. These pieces are now sewn. So I'm going to put this right sides together and sew along the left side. Open it up and give it a nice press. So I've pressed these both really, really well. That's the key to good quilting, is pressing. Then after I sew this together and open it up, I'll sew the other side, so along the right hand, and open it up. My center piece is sewn together. Next, I'm gonna attach this square onto the rectangle. Sew to the top, attach this square to the bottom of the rectangle, sew along the bottom, and do the same over here. Now these pieces are sewn. This is looking really nice, really handsome. So next we're gonna continue to radiate out, and these little pieces that are sticking out from all 4 sides, we're gonna sew the squares together. So we'll sew these 2 pieces together and open it up. Same from the right, open it up. You'll do that for all of these sides. Open it up. So this side together, open it up. Same from the bottom. Sew the right side and open. Sew the left side and open. Sew this side open and the top and open. So I have sewn these pieces together. And next, we're gonna sew this 5-inch strip to the top of our center and this 5-inch strip to the bottom of our center. 1/4 inch seam allowance, open them up and give it a nice press. Next, we're gonna attach this side piece as well as this side piece. Now, what I can see already is that both of these sides are a tiny bit bigger than my center piece here. And that's likely because my 1/4 seam allowance wasn't exactly 1/4. And that's okay. I'm just gonna sew these on and then I might need to do a little trimming, and that's okay. So as predicted, this does go a little bit over the edge. On both sides a tiny bit, and over here. So what I'm gonna do is just take this to my cutting mat and use my rotary cutter and ruler and just trim those off. This doesn't worry me at all, but that's looking pretty good. All trimmed. Next, we're gonna sew each of these outer pieces right onto the dark blue piece. So with our 1/4 seam allowance, all the seam allowances here, obviously, are 1/4. So when you open it up, we'll have this. And then once we've sewn these outer pieces, we can attach this full piece to the body of our block. But first, let's sew these outer ones. You'll notice on these that I sewed a little bit past where the end of this block is, and that's okay because these are gonna get trimmed off. These are gonna get trimmed at a diagonal. So that doesn't matter. Let's attach these to our main block here. As I'm sure you can guess, we're gonna sew these right sides together, flip and press for each one of these pieces. What a great looking block this is. I really love this block. So now the last thing we have to do is trim it up. I'm gonna take my ruler and I wanna make sure that I leave a 1/4 inch past the tip of the dark blue corners here. So 1/4 inch past that. If I take my ruler here, I have a 1/4 inch line. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the 1/4 inch line on the tip of each blue corner here. And that will give me my seam allowance for when I attach this to another piece of fabric. Now I'm gonna turn it and I'm going to line the block up with this yellow line here. And then do the same thing. Now I'm going to line the top up with the yellow horizontal line up there. And one more cut. And there we have it. I love this block. I really love this block. I think that the colors work really nicely together and they're gonna look really handsome all lined up. I'm thinking I'm gonna make 6 of this type of block and I'll make 4 of this color scheme and 2 of another color scheme, and so I could have like maybe a blue one, a red one, and then another blue one, and then on the other side of the quilt have the blue, red, blue, something like that. Somebody actually told me they thought that this was green. And I thought maybe it is green, which totally wouldn't go with my color scheme. But I think it's like a light blue. It's like kind of a tealy blue, but it's still blue, I hope. So that's the plan for these. Now these little blocks, I'm just obsessed with and I love so much. And I can either line these up next to each other, maybe put like a little piece of background fabric in between them or something, or I could use these as cornerstones. So I designed 6 blocks. Me, myself, this I did not design. This came out of that Quiltfolk magazine. Which I wanted to mention about the Quiltfolk magazine is that there are no advertisements in the magazine and the pages are really thick. It really is more like a book, so I just wanted to mention that. If you are a quilter, you would love this magazine. But anyway, so this came from that. But I have designed myself 6 blocks to go in this Quilt of Valor project. Next Quilt of Valor episode, I want to make one of those blocks and see how that goes. So hope you'll join me. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you next time. Bye.